I think we might kick off then, if that's all right. We seem to have nearing a quorum anyway.
Is Ainsley?
Ainsley is on the call. I can see Ainsley. Yep. So
good morning.
I might just kick things off with the traditional welcome to country. But yeah, welcome to the Winter Forum. But before we get into it, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. For me, it's the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and we'd like to acknowledge their deep connection to land, water, and culture, and pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. So today, as I said, we've got a full agenda. So we're going to kick off. Ainsley is going to give us an update, a wrap up from the conference last week, which was all very exciting. And then Jane Nichols, our General Manager of Industry Engagement, is going to give us an overview of what's movement on the membership front and the training front, and then I'll give you all an update on the ratings and technical program of ISCA. So I might hand over to Ainsley. Over to you,
Thank
Ainsley.
you, Toby. Good morning, everyone, and kia ora koutou katoa. It was absolutely fantastic to see so many people join us online for our very first face-to-face conference for a very long time, and also excellent to have so many people in the room. It was an absolutely incredible day, and I think a real turning point for where we are as an industry. I think what was really clear is that over the past probably 18 months, we've experienced an enormous amount of adversity, and through that adversity, there has been a necessary change process that has occurred. That's seen that all of the levers that are available to us, and we've been talking about for some time, policy, planning, procurement, investment, insurance, are all starting to align, and the nature of the conversation that we're all going to be enjoying going forward is going to change and be slightly different. If you weren't able to join us on the 18th, one of the other things that we shared was an update on our strategy. And because it's really fundamental to who we are and how we serve you as an industry, I'd like to just recap some of those key highlights. The very first one is that as a member-based, not-for-profit, but for-purpose organisation, ISCA continues to want to do more. And as part of that, you will well know that leadership is one of our goals, and that includes driving global best practice in infrastructure. Over the past year, we have honoured our level of support and the commitment that we made to the market in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and we now have 15% of our team based in New Zealand, across Auckland and Wellington. One of the things that we also recognise is that that obligation does come with a sense of duty, and we recognise that in the future we've also got an obligation to do more. Our vision is to enable a future for people, planet, and the economy, and we can ensure that other nations share the same outcomes and benefits that we're helping to catalyse across Australia and New Zealand. So in order to expand our horizons and the kind of impact that we're collectively making, we're going to be adapting the way in which we evolve. And that evolution is going to be a transition that commences in the new financial year. We will be evolving to become the Infrastructure Sustainability Council, so that we recognise that primary goal of leadership and the importance of driving global best practice. So that's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be something that does happen over a period of about 6 months, but it will start to become formalised on the 1st of July. And it's something that we're incredibly excited about. And it's through all of the collective work that we've done over many years now that this is coming to pass. Thanks, Toby. That's about it for me today.
Thanks, Daisy. Yeah, it was certainly a very energizing event. I think it was very exciting to be out and about amongst all of our stakeholders and peers. And okay, well, I might hand over now to you, Jane.
Thanks, Toby.
Membership.
Thank you, Ainsley. Great to be here with you all, and increasingly I've been here now for a handful of months and really enjoying meeting so many of you, and particularly at the May conference. It was such a pleasure. What I'd like to do today is just to give you a quick update on what is happening with membership. So if we can just go to the next slide, I would very much like to welcome our newest members. There's quite a handful of you, and it's absolutely a pleasure to have you as part of our community now. I was disappointed to not be able to add 4 additional brands on this particular slide who've just been approved, but they haven't been told themselves. So I thought best not to jump ahead of the game, but we're diversifying, we're building out in a whole range of sectors, and it's such a pleasure to have you all. If we now just briefly reflect on the conference in May, it's already been touched on through both Ainsley and Toby, a recap on the themes that we had pleasure in communicating toward net zero, capacity and capability, building resilience, and developing a circular economy. And we were just so delighted, not only with attendance on the day we sold out, but also the quality and professionalism of the speaker community and our panelists. So thank you to all of you who participated. Also, I think for those that attended in one way or another as a hybrid event, to listen to a very heartfelt keynote address from the Minister for Roads and Transport, Andrew Constance, the New South Wales Commissioner of Resilience, Shane Fitzsimons, the CEO of Infrastructure Australia, Romilly Maduan, of course, our own CEO of ISCA, Ainsley. It was a great spread of speakers through the course of the day, and we look forward to doing much more of this coming into the next period. So to that end, we have our October conference. I just want to flag this with you. We will be advising details very shortly. At this stage, we're planning a 3-day event in October. It will be a very large event in a very large venue. It will be based in Sydney on this occasion, simply because of the fact that Sydney is largely open to face-to-face attendance, and we do need to be there as an ISCA team to ensure that we can look after our guests. So that's the plan, but it will be, of course, hybrid. And in addition to the 2-day of conferencing, we're planning to have an ISAP day, and of course, on the second conference night, we will have the gala dinner and the annual awards. You will be receiving detailed information about the awards as well as the conference, so stand by for that. I know that I've had a number of contacts from many of you asking what are the details. We're very much on it and look forward to being back to you soon. I would just highlight that we still, in terms of engagement, we do have some additional dates still available for networking forums and webinars around the country. So if you're keen to participate in sponsoring and leading one of those engagement opportunities with us, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Please call me or email me and we can arrange that for you. The other thing that many of you will be aware of is that we have very much in the last fortnight, so very recently, started to communicate our new membership pricing strategy. I won't go into a lot of detail today, but the most important point to make is that based on your feedback on how what sort of value you would like to see, the sort of benefits that you'd like to have more access to, we have elected to create two distinctive package tiers within each tier of membership offering. So depending on whichever tier you're in, which is based on your turnover, there's now what we're describing as a standard package, which is quite rich in value, but a slightly smaller package of benefits, and then also a premium package, which whilst you will pay slightly more for, there's significant extended value in respect to a range of benefit areas, including training, thought leadership, access to conference attendance in terms of some no-charge offerings, the annual gala event ticketing, and also free and unlimited iSupply listings. So I urge you, if that's in your remit to have some responsibility around, please take a look at that, and we look forward to welcoming you in whichever way you decide to come on board with us. A quick update on training. There's lots of work going into this space, and it's very much about the fact that we want to ensure that increasingly we're not just engaging you once in a year, but that in fact you see us as an opportunity for continuous professional development, and that as individuals that you specifically remain engaged and participate with the many new learning offerings that we're going to be making available. Before I jump into that in more detail, can I just remind you all that it is ISAP renewal time, and we have changed our process slightly to make it easier for you and clearer in terms of what you need to do and we need to do to make sure that this is an efficient process. So from yesterday, registrations open, and they will remain open between the period of 1st of June until the 30th of September. So what we ask you to do is jump onto the ISCA website to register and pay your fee for your renewal. Once you've done this as an individual, you will receive a link to the renewal exam, and once that's all been completed, so your registration and your payment and completion of the exam, you will then receive your ISAP renewal. I should point out though, if you're part of an organisation and the organisation that you're with is taking care of this for you, please wait for your organisation to communicate the link to you, and then you just simply participate in the renewal exam, and your company will then set that all up for you so that you receive your completion of annual assessment. If you know that you're part of an organisational commitment, don't hesitate to obviously jog the memory of those that handle that, or let us know if you're having any concerns, and we'd be more than happy to help. I mentioned continuous professional development. We really do want to participate in your knowledge growth and help enhance your skills development. So I draw your attention to 3 active courses which have upcoming dates and timeframes involved if you wish to participate. Sustainable procurement. This is very much about assisting managers and consultants in enhancing your procurement practices. In September, we have sustainability change, and that's all about enabling members and consultants within a project to act as change agents within your workplace, and then IS for operations, which ultimately leads to becoming an IS accredited professional. So please, if you're interested, make a note of those dates. And at the end of this section, you'll see the email addresses that you can communicate with if you'd like to know more and to register against any of those courses. In addition to that, we've got some other learning offerings: Intro to IS, IS for managers, and IS for executives. We will be sending out this pack straight after this session, so I won't go into too much detail, but again, it really is looking at targeting different parts of the organisation of your organisations to ensure that all of you are not only building the sustainability agenda in your immediate team, but ensuring that the organisation is going forward with you in respect to your focus. And we're absolutely delighted to talk about 3 courses coming up, well, really 2 courses coming up soon. I'm sure you've been all looking forward to hearing about or more about IS version 2.1. Well, we do have an introduction to 2.1 coming up very shortly. It is not your training piece, it's an introduction to what's coming up, and it's a very short, self-paced online module, and it's for existing ISAPs prior to the release of the technical manual. Excuse me. In respect to IS Essentials, this particular course, which is coming soon, will enable professionals to implement the IS Essentials tool for projects under 100 million. We'd also just like to highlight that we have the opportunity to create bespoke offerings, so please don't hesitate to talk to us about that if there is a requirement for learning that you don't believe that we're covering at the moment. We are very much open for business in this space. It's one of our strategic priority areas, and we'd love to speak to you about how we can tailor to suit training areas or development areas that would be of benefit to you and the people that work around you. And there you can see the contact details. So thank you, everybody. There'll be an opportunity for questions at the end of the session, but for the meantime, if I could hand over to Toby for the technical update.
Thanks, Jade. Yeah, so firstly, before getting into the technical program, I'll give an overview of the ratings side of the organisation and where we're at with that. Just going to the next slide, Lauren. So ISCA, along with the industry, the infrastructure space, we've been growing. There's a lot of activity and a significant amount of registration. So at present, we have 178 projects under rating. It's about 183 billion in capital, which is a record for us and very exciting. Our projects, you can see on the right here, we're still very active in the linear infrastructure space, road, rail, but we also have quite a few exciting port projects, airport projects, water projects, social and energy projects on the books as well. Heavily skewed to the front end, probably not surprising of project life cycles, not surprising considering we're in a sort of stimulus investment phase. So we have 103 ratings at the moment under the design rating process. And that's reflecting the pipeline of projects that is coming through at the moment, and we're seeing growth across the country from every state, and increasingly excitingly in New Zealand. We now have 12 ratings underway. So of the registrations we've seen since we last caught up, a real mix from, again, across our jurisdictions, from transport projects to water projects to operational projects. But again, very, very exciting mix of projects coming through. And as I said, we are growing. So I might segue into the next slide, which I believe is the growing team. So we have welcomed actually 4 new staff into the mix. We've got Lorraine Blackwood, who has joined us as the head of ratings and delivery. Lorraine, I'm not sure if you're on the call. Say hello quickly. Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Lorraine.
I'm on mute. Yeah. Hi. Morning, everyone.
Yeah. So very excited to have Lorraine join the team. So Lorraine will be overseeing all the projects we have under rating and the project management pool. So week 2 for Lorraine. So he's taking it all in at the moment, but very excited to have you on board. We also are joined by 2 new senior PMs. we have our first project manager in New Zealand, Tom Young, who's also on the call.
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Toby. Yeah, so I'm based in Auckland, and yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into things.
So yeah, it's very, very, very exciting to have a PM on the ground in New Zealand now, and will really help us, serving that local market better. And Tom brings a wealth of experience. We also have another senior PM joined in Sydney, Sim Nazim, who's somehow slipped off our slide, but that's okay. He's here in person. So good day, Sim.
Hello.
So Sim's joining us, as I said, a senior project manager based in Sydney, covering predominantly New South Wales projects. The other, and the team is growing. I said reflective of our growth, which is very exciting, and to have such an experienced group of people joining us. You also probably will have seen we have had the Verify panel open for applications. That was open till the 30th. We've extended that a little bit till the 15th, but we've had a humbling number of applications come through to date. It's really exciting to see the number and the quality of applicants coming through for the Verify panel. Obviously, the verification process is a critical piece of the ISCA assurance process, and so we're very, very excited to see the quality of the candidates coming in. But we have extended that slightly because everyone is very busy to the 15th of June. So please, if you haven't, if you feel like you could contribute and you haven't put in an application, please do. Or if you know anyone that you think might be a good welcome addition to the ISCA family, please pass it on to themselves. The technical work plan. We have quite a lot on the work plan, and very busy. The big news for us is the launch of V2.1, which I have some slides on shortly. We will be, I'll go into more depth in that. Other projects that are coming through, these projects led by Dr. Kerry Griffiths. We have a review of our planning rating, which kicked off and will be underway over the next year and a bit. We're also planning a review of the operations manual. IS Essentials is also a major project that's underway. I also have some follow-up slides, and the ongoing digitisation of the rating scheme and broader ISCA business is underway at the moment. We've kicked off a piece digitising the materials calculator to start with, but there's a lot more work on that front to help bring ISCA into the current time and make us more efficient and easily and reduce the administrative burden around the scheme. The working group establishment, also, I have another slide on that. I'll talk to you in a bit more. The other piece here that I wanted to touch on, though, was the verification review. You're probably all aware that we've been looking at the verification process in more detail over the last year or so. There is a preferred option being finalised, and we're looking at developing a pilot to bring into the market in the next quarter or so. So that will be that's an important step for ISCA. The next slide. Thanks, Lauren. So the version 2.0 review. So version 2.1 is entering the market, and I've got a little bit more information on that on the launch of version 2.1. But we are very excited about version 2.1. There has been a huge amount of effort gone into developing this product, and it really feeling it reflects best practice in industry and rewards what the industry is achieving to date. It's really outcomes focused. There's been, I've said before to many of you, there's been a real push to reducing the overheads and make it more cost effective to deliver a rating, and we've had some really positive feedback to date on that tool. As many of you will know, we've been in a beta testing process with the 2.0 product, and we've been having amazing feedback from those projects on that tool that's gone into the new 2.1. We've also had focused stakeholder feedback and tons of feedback from stakeholder groups across the country. I think around 900 items that have been processed and gone into the new tool. So we have closed those feedback rounds now, and the technical manual is being finalised with that final bit of feedback. But again, we're very excited. We're getting feedback that's quite positive on the tool, and yeah, we're very excited about moving towards also 2.1 being a slightly different concept as we enter the digital age, where there won't be any more large step changes in products, but more incremental, continuous improvement in the products going forward. So the launch is highly anticipated by many. So we will be putting the technical manual display on the 1st of August, but we will be launching training courses from July onwards. 1st of August, the technical manual will go on display. It will go on display for 1 month, so that the industry has a time to digest the new tool. And then registrations will commence the 1st of September this year. So 2.1 will replace V2.0 for design and as-built for all new ratings. 1.2 design and as-built will be available in the market for a period before we phase it out, approximately 18 months at the moment, but we are engaging with proponents and other members at the moment around that retirement of version 1.2. There are a lot of commercial commitments in the market, and we're trying to be quite sensitive to those commitments. But that is the overall plan. Again, it's all hands on deck from ISCA's end. It's we're very excited about the new product and yeah, look forward to entering the market. Next slide. So Essentials is the other major development piece, IS Essentials, that's underway at the moment. Now, IS Essentials is effectively a design and as-built rating tool for smaller projects in the capital band of 5 to 100 million. There's been a clear need identified by our members for a number of years now for a smaller projects tool, and we've had a great amount of engagement in the development process to date. But here you could see the timeline for developing IS Essentials. At the moment, we have been undertaking, and we're still in the midst of a capital raise where we are seeking pilot projects from members to put into the pilot that will fund the development. We are closing a number of those now, but actively working to try and close out that capital raise. We are then moving into a pilot phase with those pilots and developing the technical manual and the rating collateral as we go through that. It will be based on the 2.1 structure, as in credit structure, but will be significantly different. And many of you have seen the briefings done to date. It will be obviously stripped down in terms of the requirements. There will be a different materiality process that will reduce the number of credits, and that will vary depending on where the capital band that projects sit in. There will be a different verification and assurance process, and that process will vary again depending on the capital band that projects sit in. All of these macro changes are designed to again provide an appropriate level of assurance for the performance relative to the risk and the scale of the projects. But that is underway at present. Yeah. Go to the next slide. So the working groups, we have also been busy reforming and having another look at. We have a number of industry working groups that are being established, looking at advocacy priorities as well as market development activities. Our networking groups are also being re-rolled out, and we have a calendar that will be published shortly around these. And on the technical front, we are looking at the technical working groups. Ty Momberg and the team who joined us recently as well is focusing on our technical working groups and developing up new terms of reference for those working groups that will be again shared with the interested parties shortly. And our technical expert panel is still in place and active as it has been. Move on to the next one. So I will leave it there. And if we have any questions, please use the chat or don't be shy. Please speak up. We've got a little under 15 minutes for questions. Yes, to the floor. I think we've got one question already, which is from Michelle Meng. The question is whether 2.1 will apply to the operation rating as well, which is a very good question. So as you know, Michelle, we have an ops rating in the market, and it will become the future ops rating. It won't be changed into a 2.1 product, but it will be updated during the refresh that's been happening, that's been planned for the next 12 months. So that tool will be continually improved through the more organic process rather than relaunched again. So the current operations rating will remain as the operational rating. Will the recording of the ISCA conference be available to participants or others? I might set on to.
Yes, I can. Yes, we are making a recording, so yes, it will be available.
It's easy. Right, any other questions? And Kathy, yes, we will make the slides available as well. Well, if don't appear to have any more questions coming through, I'll give it another minute or two, and if no more questions come in, then I guess we get a few extra precious minutes back in the day. I think we have there's a question about pioneer pathways.
Hi, Toby. Yeah, it's Sandra here.
Sandra, how are you?
G'day, good. I just had a question for under a 1.2 pilot pathway if projects now select from the 2.1 credits for piloting instead.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, so the pilot pathway will be for 2.1 credits instead of 2.0 credits. Right, and there's for projects that are in the early stage of looking at the 2.0 credits, we'd encourage them voluntarily to have a look at 2.1 as well. But obviously, that if they're already down the 2.0 pathway, then carry on with that one.
Thank you.
So I have a question from Tim. Has 2.1 achieved the desired outcomes wanted to get out of the review? Less admin, more outcomes focused. It's a great question, Tim. And yes, we believe strongly and based on the feedback we're getting to date that it has achieved that. It's much clearer in its intent. It is focused, as I mentioned before, on certifying outcomes wherever possible and not process. We have tried to leave the response to a lot of the credits to the market to respond in the most appropriate way. there has been I believe, a reduction in the must statements, a significant reduction. I think it's in the order of 46% reduction in the must statements that projects need to respond to. So it is a much cleaner product, and certainly the feedback we're receiving to date is echoing that. And quite right, Kathy, proof is it will be in the pudding. Kirsty, the question about the 2.1 process, the 2.1 verification process remains the same. The verification process for all our versions is the same, but we will be, as I said, trialing rolling out a pilot of some changes to the verification process in the next half a year. So please, keep an eye out for those. The BAU guidelines, there's a question about when they will be published. They are in the very, very final stages, the BAU framework, and should be out any week, in a number of weeks now. So please keep an eye out for those. They will go out through our usual channels and updates. Some great questions coming through. Please don't be shy. If you want to verbally bring a question to the table, that's also welcome and encouraged. So, Kirsty, another question about the verification guideline. As I said, that there's no changes to those. There's some changes to the verification processes being piloted, and there's some work being done with being planned for the verifiers on the consistency issue. But a lot of the changes to the version 2.1 technical manual are intended to help with that consistency issue. And there are also some plans afoot to look at training within the verifier pool as a part of both onboarding of our new verifiers, but also ongoing engagement with our existing verifiers. The Land 4 updates we're processing at the moment, the final feedback from stakeholders. It's very technical, that feedback, as you can imagine. There's a lot of feedback around modelling. There's a lot of feedback, technical feedback, and that is being processed at the moment by our technical team, but also by our consultant who's helping us with that. So they'll be integrated into the tool, into that Land 4, and the credit hopefully is nearing completion. The exact date I don't know, but it is in that one. It's in the final rounds. The BAU guidelines are a framework. So the BAU guidelines are really a framework on how to set a BAU assumption. There are a few specific assumptions in there, but the main approach that the BAU guidelines is taking is to set a framework for setting a BAU, and so applicable across Australia and New Zealand. So a question about the improvements to the verification projects to existing version 1.2 projects. We haven't looked in detail in terms of rolling out the changes. As I mentioned, we're entering into a pilot phase to test the pilot, to test the proposal, and that will then guide the further rollout. And we'll be able to answer your question, Tim, around the rollout. Or was that Tim? No, I've lost the question. Sorry, Stefania. We'll be able to answer the question about the impact of that in the near future. So I had another question from Tim. When 2.1 is launched, is there an expectation that there will be no more will allow it to be registered, or will 1.2 be registered? What version 1.2 phased out over a defined period? It's a good question, Tim. So we will be launching 2.1 in September, and from that date onwards, both versions will be available for new projects to register. We will be phasing version 1.2 out at a future date, roughly 18 months from then. TBC, though, we want to, as I said previously, we want to talk that through and have meetings, and we're having meetings with our proponent members around potential implications of that phase out. But version 1.2 will be available for new projects going forward as well, and until a future date. We have had a question from Kirsty about Land 4 equivalent in version 2.1. There is no Land 4 equivalent at the moment within version 2.1. Then a question from Claire: will the verification updates assist with verifying separate design and as-built contract projects rather than D&C contracts? That is an interesting question, Claire. I don't actually know the answer to that one, so I will take that one on notice and get back to you on that, Claire.
Yeah, it's a challenge that we've got. We've got a number of projects coming up for as-built verification now, and the way that evidence is provided is potentially limited because of the contracting type that we're using with the separate construct-only contract after a separate design contract, and just how we can best manage that provision of evidence and provide it to the verifiers is an issue that we're working through now, and any guidance would help.
Yeah, no, it's certainly something that we need to keep in mind in the development of that verification process. There's another question from Sonia. Are there plans to update the V1.2 materials calculator to include a wider range of materials as seen in the 2.0 calculator? It's a great question. There was a decision made internally around the materials calculators to consolidate the calculators into one calculator. We don't need to maintain two calculators. And so we will be effectively retiring the V1.2 calculator and relabeling the calculator, because they're not the calculator is not version specific, and so there'll be some changes on that front, and we're also doing a lot of work in the background, Time Monberg, on how we can keep the materials as updated as possible in that new calculator. And the other big piece on the calculator is that it is under the digitization process has begun. So what other questions? There's some discussion being happened and resolving in the chat, which is great. That makes my job easier. But we're actually coming up. There's one more question. You have to avoid similar issues. There is some discussion, Kirsty, around Land 4. Obviously, flooding is an important topic, but the flooding credit, as I mentioned before, is still being finalised. Land 4 credits. So the inclusion of flooding impacts in a future date in version 2.1 may happen. That decision hasn't been made. There's a lot of consultation that needs to be done around that. So there's some that is something that's being discussed, but there's no final decision on that to date. We're at time now, though, and as I'm the moderator, I might try and keep this to time. So if there's any further questions, please just reach out to either your PMs or myself or to whoever in ISCA is relevant to. But really, thank you everyone for your time today. As we said, we'll make the slides available. We'll be making the the video of the conference available. Yeah, I think we might wrap it up there, but thank you, everyone.